Today we have Trisha Fenby talking about the independent community living.
So I am going to share with you that one of the things that we do, well, the main thing we do at Independent Community Living is to help people with disabilities lead very productive and fulfilling lives in the community. And to do that, we want them to be as independent as possible, just like any person, and we want community involvement. I have so many people in my life, Luke, so many of my friends and acquaintances that I know that have so many talents and abilities just like you, and they have a desire to work, but they're really struggling to find those jobs because sometimes they're afraid, sometimes the businesses don't really understand what that could look like. And so that's what I'm here for. I want to make those connections, and I want to help people live their, best life. I really spend a lot of time with a person and get to know that person a little bit and find out what they like.
Okay.
And then I find out what they're really good at. And then I start looking around at what kind of jobs could they do with their skills and their passion.
What's your favorite memories of your job that you have?
Well, right now I'm kind of new to this job, but I realized what a passion I had after having the opportunity to work with you and see how successful it is when a person finds a job they really enjoy.
Okay.
And so you kind of gave me that spark and that desire to get into this kind of work.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, you inspired her.
She helped me find MCTV. That's how I started my talk show called Between Connection. And after that was done, that's when we started this podcast.
So she helped you with doing interviews, and that's what you're doing right now.
Yes.
What? Okay, well, we're gonna have to give her a big thank you for that, right?
Yes.
Jeez.
What has been the most fun thing someone said to you?
The most fun thing someone said to me?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay, so I am working with a person right now that does not like to clean.
Okay.
Any kind of work. This person would do all kinds of work, but not cleaning. And so I asked him, what would happen if you have to sweep? And he said, well, that ain't happening. And I just thought that was funny because he was very clear about not wanting to clean. But we did have to talk about sometimes you have to do things that you don't always like to do. So we made a little bit of a compromise with that one. The best thing I've ever done so far. I think that when I get a chance to meet and make a connection is probably the best thing I can do. Whether that connection will lead to a job isn't always, known, but at least we know that connection has been made, so it helps both people have a better understanding. So an employer has a better understanding of a person and their skills and abilities, and the person has a better understanding of what kind of things are expected on a job.
Do you ever help with someone who might be struggling and you're worried about them getting fired?
Okay, that's what I was trying to say.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
a great yes.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for asking that question because that is important. And that is one of people's concerns. Maybe they've been fired before or haven't had successful employment, so they're afraid to get a job. And part of my work is to help them through that. And in those cases, then I might be able to help assist the person in gaining some skills or some knowledge that they need, or even being able to talk to the boss and help provide some accommodations to make it easier for them to do the work.
So, what kind of things can they do at the job, and what can't they do at the job?
So the first thing we would do is look at a person's skills and their abilities and what they like to do. And then we find a job match, and we then work with the business and the manager to make sure if any accommodations need to take place. Like some people have to take public transportation, so they have to take the Dial Ride bus or County Connection. And so their schedule might have to be altered a little bit to accommodate that bus. And so those are things that we work with the manager. But then when they get to work, there are some standard yeses and nos, right? Like usually you're not supposed to be on your cell phone when you're working. You're supposed to be, kind of focusing on what your job is. Some people have to wear protective gear, so they have to wear safety glasses or gloves, and those are an absolute, you have to do this or you can't do the job.
Have you heard of the movie Wicked?
Yes.
Wicked.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what connection we're about to make here.
So there's a part that kind of made me emotional.
Okay.
Of how they made the Wicked Witch of the West. Because she was actually born green.
She was born green, so she was different.
Yeah. And okay, so Luke, I really appreciate you bringing that up because that is a great example of a misconception. Sometimes we see somebody that's different and we just have assumptions. Like we've grown up thinking the Wicked Witch of the West was a mean, wicked person.
Yes.
When in fact, when we learned her backstory, we realized that she had a lot of struggles in her life.
Yes. So if, let's say, for example, what would it say to the Wicked Witch of the West with the independent community living?
Okay. Wow.
So I love this question. I do, and I'm smiling because if Elphaba were to come in and say, "Hey, listen, nobody wants to hire me," and I kind of feel like it's because I'm green.
Ooh.
Right? Or, they treat me differently because I look differently. If Elphaba were to come in and say that, I would say, well, let's start with what are your desires, right? What do you want, Elphaba? What do you want to do in your life? And I'm going to guess that she's going to want to do something with animals to protect maybe animals or something. I don't know. So
magical.
Yeah, something magical. What can
or
be
magical, right? Yeah. So we'd start there, and I'd say, well, what can you do? Like, what are you good at? And then we would learn, right, that she's got a lot of great talents, and we would be able to maybe narrow it down in because we know she loves animals and she wants to protect the environment and the world, right? We could maybe look at places where she could work. Could she help out at a veterinary office, or could she work at a pet store, or the humane? We would never talk about the fact that she's green.
Yes.
Or we would never really talk about the fact that, people treat her differently. We would say, hey, here's this person that has this passion for animals and she's really good at these things. And I think she could really help your business out.
Before we wrap it up, do you have any questions for Luke?
Oh my goodness. I would love to know, Luke, how did you transition into this role as a podcaster?
Oh, what made you want to podcast?
That actually makes me smile.
A lot. And we're opening up a big portion of his brain.
I was going to work and I happened to find a podcast called Hacking Your ADHD.
Oh, yeah.
And I listened to it and I finished that one. And now I'm on another podcast called ADHD Rewired.
I see.
So you spend a lot of time listening to podcasts, and then that gave you the passion to do
And that's this idea.
How did you get connected to Jennifer?
Well, you want to tell her, Jennifer?
No. Yeah. Yes. So I've known Luke for a long time, but recently, probably in the last 4 years or so, his mom reached out to me and said, Luke could use some help with some life stuff, right? Some sports psychology and some other life psychology stuff. And so that's how we were connected. We used to first weekly talk about different social skill things.
Yes.
Things socially that you worried about, things that bothered you, things that you really loved, all of it. And we would talk about emotions. We still talk about emotions a lot.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. So that's how we got connected, and that's how we hung out. And then Luke said, I want to do a podcast. And I said, are you kidding me?
Yes.
And so here we are. I said, I'll help you with the podcast. And we work on a little bit of preparing, but most of the time, even if we prepare, Luke does his own thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's give it a wrap up.
My name is Luke Trimley, the host of 3, 2, 1, What is a Story? Goodbye. Thank you.
See ya. Good job. Good job.